Can we get sued for trying to free Britney? Well, we're going to talk about a lawsuit that Jamie Spears brought not that long ago, how it turned out, and what you can do to protect yourself. Let's break it down. My name is Christopher Melcher. I'm a California attorney, and my passion is about making legal issues simple and telling the story behind the story. Today, I want to go through a lawsuit filed by Jamie Spears 2 years ago against a fan who was spoken out against the conservatorship. We're going to go through the allegations that were made, how that case turned out, and what you can do in your posts so this doesn't happen to you. Nothing I'm saying in here is legal advice. This is all my opinion based upon my own understanding of the law and the legal documents that I have reviewed. This lawsuit was filed in 2019. Now, certainly things were different in 2019 than they were on June 23 when Britney spoke about the conservatorship, and it really is a different world June 23 than it was in 2019. We can learn from what was alleged in this lawsuit by Jamie Spears in his capacity as conservator of the estate of Britney J. Spears. That's significant to me because Jamie was alleging in this lawsuit that the conservatorship itself was harmed or Britney was harmed, but also that he was defamed. Now, he could have sued in his individual capacity if he felt that he was defamed, but he didn't do that. He sued in a representative capacity, meaning as conservator of the estate. The conservatorship is really not anything. It's a piece of paper. It is a order that takes away Britney's liberty or decision-making, all these rights that adults have, and giving them to her dad and others. So it's not a legal entity. It's not a separate legal person, but he can sue in this capacity, which is what he did. And I believe what probably happened is that he would have then submitted to the estate the legal bill for prosecuting this lawsuit. And I assume that the court received that and approved it because it's approved probably everything that's been asked for it, or mostly everything that's been asked for it. And hey, in the comments, if you know of anything that the court has disapproved that Jamie's requested, please put that down because I'd like to know about that. So he sues in this capacity. He's suing a fan of Britney Spears in the capacity of conservator, using Britney's name and her conservatorship that's placed over her to go against this fan. Now, he sues for defamation and invasion of privacy. And right here in the allegation, it's time for the conspiracy theories about Britney Spears' well-being and the mob Free Britney movement to stop. Well, a couple problems that I have with this. We're not going to get into detail about what was the conduct and statements made in this particular lawsuit. I'm talking about now is what's happening today with the Free Britney movement, that I don't personally view these as conspiracy theories. I know a lot of people have labeled the movement as that, but turns out a lot of the things that people have been saying seem to have been validated by Britney herself when she spoke on June 23 and July 14. He also alleges in here, it's clear that without any actual information about Britney or what is or is not in her well-being, this individual has made it his agenda to ensure that Britney is no longer in a conservatorship. I have redacted or grayed out that name of the individual here because I have no contact with this individual. I do not like how this person was treated in this lawsuit. I just am not going to name the individual, and that's why the name is removed. Now, the agenda this individual had was to ensure that Britney was no longer in a conservatorship. What's wrong with that? That's the agenda of many people that have come out now and talked about the conservatorship. They want it ended. Britney wants it ended. Why is that a bad thing? He states in here, it's about time that this person understands that his words have consequences and cannot blindly spout his baseless theories any longer. A person does have the right to state what they think. Certainly, if somebody defames somebody else, there are consequences to that. Now, the reason why, though, that I'm putting this on the screen, this particular passage, is that it shows up a month later in a page 6 article. Headline, Britney Spears fans allegedly sent violent threats to her team. There's nothing alleged in the complaint about violent threats. The complaint says that there were false statements made by this individual that were defamatory, but I did not see any reference to violent threats, and I would think if that would be in the complaint because that would be pretty important to put in there, but I didn't see violent threats. What this page 6 article is saying is that there were other people, based upon the comments that were made in the social media posts, that were then using those comments to then make violent threats. Whether it happened or not, I don't know. I assume page 6 has sources and they saw violent threats and that's why they reported it. No criticism there. My point of bringing this up is what their source told them. Check this out. A source close to Britney told us. Now, this is an unnamed source, but it's somebody that they're saying talked to page 6, told us that authorities have been involved, and then, quote, some of the people believe everything they're reading, and we do need people to realize that their words have consequences. Well, remember, we saw that right here. It's time that this individual who was sued understand that his words have consequences. It's the same statement, but it doesn't come from the lawsuit, because page 6 would have told us that. They would have said this was alleged in the lawsuit. No, they said it was a source that told page 6. So who is this source? Why are they speaking? Why are they using exactly the same words that are in the lawsuit when they're now talking off the record or without attribution to page 6? And I would ask whoever that source is, why don't you go to New York Times? Why don't you go to Washington Post? Why don't you go and subject yourself to a real interview rather than just going and giving statements without attribution? Now, this lawsuit ended. This individual did not have counsel. I don't know what happened in the background. I really wish the person had counsel. That's one of the things that bothers me about it, but there was no counsel. It goes from this complaint being filed against the person to then a judgment pursuant to stipulation, meaning an agreed judgment was made against this individual. There was this was not contested in court. An agreement was made. And we're going to go into what the judgment is. It's a court order. The problem, though, that I have is that the individual who was sued could have certainly defended himself. And in California and many states in the United States, we have what's called the anti-SLAPP provision. Now, SLAPP means strategic litigation against public participation. That's SLAPP. It's lawsuits designed to punish people for exercising their free speech rights, meaning that a powerful person uses their money to hire a lawyer to threaten and intimidate somebody from speaking when they have the right to speak. When a lawsuit is a SLAPP, the defendant, who the person who's being sued, can file a motion to strike to have that lawsuit thrown out. And the person who brought the lawsuit can be sanctioned in order to pay all of the attorney's fees. So we in the United States have First Amendment rights. We can talk about matters of public interest. We can give opinions about things. We can certainly talk about a lawsuit that's a public proceeding and saying we think this lawsuit's wrong, and we can certainly state opinions about it. Here in this lawsuit, this individual, for whatever reason, agreed to a judgment against him. Jamie won the lawsuit. There's an order, injunctive relief, meaning that this court has ordered this individual not to speak. That's significant. An order not to speak. We're going to get into the particulars of that. It's not just any speech, it's certain speech, and we're going to get into that. Now, check this out. It's granted in favor of Britney, acting through her dad. This is one of the things that bothers me. Hey, Jamie, you won this lawsuit. You won against somebody who was unrepresented, but you sued a fan of your daughter who was speaking out against the conservatorship. Now, maybe this individual went too far. I'm not commenting on that. But you sued a fan of your daughter who was speaking out against the conservatorship. Does Britney know about this? How does Britney feel about this? Is she going to do anything about it when the conservatorship is ended, or if it's ended? Would she go back and say, I didn't authorize this, or I didn't want this, or I didn't think it was right, and help ask the court to set aside this judgment? I don't know. But it does concern me the way that that happened. Again, hey, that's a legal process, and this individual could have defended himself and hired a lawyer and all this and agreed to it. So we got to kind of assume that Jamie had something to say here because the individual agreed to the judgment. And now we're going to go into what this person agreed to and what is ordered not to do. Prohibited from republishing, distributing, or otherwise disseminating these social media posts that were cited in the complaint. Don't republish those things, fine. Making any statements alleging or insinuating that the conservatorship or people directing the conservatorship are deleting positive posts on social media or keeping negative posts on social media to create a negative portrayal of Britney. Okay, fine. I mean, who knows what's going on with her social media account? None of us know. Britney might know that. Others would know that. But fine, this individual can't make statements about that. Number 3, making any statements alleging or insinuating that the conservatorship is harming Britney. Really? A court signed off on this? That is really bothersome to me. Now, a court, when it's presented with an agreed judgment like this, would probably say, well, hey, there's a plaintiff and defendant, and they're both agreeing on this judgment. And, hey, if that's what they agree, it's presented to the judge to sign, and this judge signed it. But judge, are you thinking? Are you reading? Are you understanding what's being presented to you? Do you understand that we have a First Amendment right to talk? Do you understand that judgments prohibiting somebody from speaking are really exceptional here in this country? Do you understand that they have to be narrowly tailored, that we can't tell somebody not to speak, generally speaking? Did you look at this? Did you question it? I don't know. No evidence in the court file that happened. It was just signed off. We'll go back to the final part of this. The individual can't make any statements that are defamatory or disparaging of the conservators, the conservatorship, or its representatives. Certainly, we don't have a right to defame people. We just can't do that. I mean, there's limits to free speech, so we shouldn't be going around and defaming people. But this is a matter of public interest. This is an ongoing public court proceeding. It's extremely important to this individual, Britney, who's under it, but it's also extremely important to us as a society to know what courts are doing and to make sure that people aren't being abused by the very orders that are designed to protect them. And if we're having people who cannot speak about that, criticizing that, we lose the right to participate in a public process. So again, Judge, are you actually reading this stuff before you sign off on it? Now, had the individual got a lawyer, and there was people who would probably help without being paid, they could have done what's called discovery. So there's two options. One, you could file this special motion to strike, which would stay all discovery, meaning any depositions or asking questions, and you just go straight to trying to have this thing thrown out on First Amendment grounds. But let's say that motion was made and lost. Well, you would have a right to discovery, which would mean that you would have a right then to go into these allegations and ask, well, who is controlling the social media posts? Does Britney even want this conservatorship or not? Is it harmful or not? All these allegations that we just went through could be tested through witnesses, because Jamie opened the door for that, because he said, hey, this is a good conservatorship. This is helpful in her best interest, and everyone's speaking out about it. It just plain has it wrong. There's nothing going on here that's bad. Well, that was made in a lawsuit. And if this lawsuit had been contested, that individual could have gone in through that open door and then taken discovery and got the information, went into that room, owned that room, and figured out what was going on. So there was kind of an opportunity to do that. But again, hey, this individual decided not to do that, and that it was better to settle. Now, let's talk about some few do's and don'ts here, because there are demand letters or cease and desist letters that have been sent by lawyers over time. And when their clients get upset, that's usually the first level, is that you're going to get a letter from a lawyer saying, hey, you know, that statement that you made is wrong, and please stop talking about this and retract the statement, apologize, whatever they're demanding. So you may see one of those type of letters, and we don't ever want to get to that point. Some do's and don'ts here in your social media posting for Free Britney. Number one, you want to be thorough, fair, and accurate. And just like a journalist hopefully would be doing, is that when you're making a statement, do you have the facts to back up the statement that you're making? Have you looked into this? Have you given accurate information? Another thing is to use reliable sources. What I'm doing here is I'm looking at the court records, as we just went through. These are actually screenshots from court documents. The other thing is to correct your mistakes. So, hey, if you got it wrong, go ahead and correct it. If I got something wrong, just let me know how I got it wrong. Now, the don'ts. We don't want to make threats. That is beyond our First Amendment right. We don't have a right to threaten people. It's just unkind. I understand the passions run very high in this thing, that these are, just horrible allegations that are being made here by Britney herself now about this conservatorship, about how she's being abused by it. We want something done. We're frustrated. We're out of patience. We want the court to act, but we have to be kind and respectful about it and not threaten people. There's a lot of statements that have been made about people being corrupt or criminals. It's not my job to go label somebody. What I'm trying to do is discuss people's conduct and not the conclusion that we draw from that. Hey, I hope that you're finding this useful. Everyone's been so kind in comments to these videos, and I'm just getting started with this stuff, and that's kind of encouraging me to keep going. Here's my Twitter handle, so if we haven't connected up on there, please let's exchange some ideas. If you have other ideas for videos that you want, please just go drop them in the comments, and we'll see you next time.